Indian working women were the worst impacted by the pandemic across all demographic segments in India. I am Madhura Dasgupta Sinha. I have been a banker for the last 25 years. I have worked with Relays Bank, with Standard Chartered, and with IDFC, where I've held several leadership positions. And 1 year back, on the 8th of March last year, I launched Aspire for Her, a very unique community platform for women to enter and stay in the workforce. All along, I was looking at gender data emanating from India, and it was something that was bothering me. I saw that India's position in the Global Gender Gap Index in terms of economic participation was dropping every year. And I saw that the current 2020 position was that India was fourth from the bottom in a list of 153 countries. I also saw the workforce participation rate of women, and that's been a steady decline since 2005. And the pandemic actually hit a sharp blow to this metric, and we are now below 20% of workforce participation at an aggregated level for Indian women. And these were the things that were bothering me. And I decided someone has to do something about it. And that's how Aspire for Her was born. We were looking at the data, and something was changing during the pandemic, is what we felt as we were speaking to the women in our community. And we said, if we want to make a sharp strategy around how we want to grow the space, around how we want to motivate women, we first need to understand them. And that was the reason why we said, let us start with the research of Indian working women. And we were looking at data from the US, we were looking at data from Europe, and there was a plethora of data coming through in terms of how the pandemic had impacted women in various countries. And we said, there is a lack of data from the Indian perspective. And we have this rich community that is building up. So why don't we sit down, talk to them, find out what they're thinking about, their frustration, their challenges, and their barriers, and try and put it together in the form of a research. So that was a little bit of a backstory around how the research came about. The research is not just a piece of research report for us. It's actually much, much more. It is the cornerstone of our strategy, which we want to use to build the proposition at Aspire for Her, so that we motivate more women to pursue their amazing careers that they should be pursuing. We did the research in a very scientific way. We broke it up into various industries, various sectors, life stages, and hierarchy, and all of that. We had interviews, we had surveys, we had subject matter experts who came in and talked to us. And there were 3 or 4 key things that really came out. The first one, of course, was quite obvious, that the pandemic had treated women differentially. And women bore the brunt of the pandemic. Indian working women were the worst impacted by the pandemic across all demographic segments in India. And that is a reality. Because with added housework, with added responsibilities of childcare and elder care, and having to do everything that work from home also dictated that they do, they were actually burning the candle at both ends. Within the demographic itself, it was not absolutely a homogeneous sort of a reaction, because we did ask questions to people across different sectors. And within that, we found that the worst hit was the self-employed women. The self-employed women actually led a fairly lonely and friendless existence, because in India, most of the self-employed women are solopreneurs or nanopreneurs. They don't have large teams to take care of their work. And they realized that they were really up against a wall, because there was just 24 hours in a day. And entrepreneurship itself is a 24/7 journey. So that was the first thing that they realized. They also realized that resources were scarce, and including time, in fact. And even for something as simple as the internet bandwidth, their priorities usually came after the child's schoolwork, the husband's office chores, and they were probably a little lower down in the list. And they found it very difficult to work on their business plans, to raise monies, to refine their strategies, and to actually launch businesses or grow businesses. We want to work with two mantras. One is community, two, networks. So in our community, we will have a constellation of networks, which will have women from various walks of life, from various special interest groups, from various professional pursuits, and we will get them together. What we've realized is that most women have a lot of communities. They're usually moms groups, they're school groups, they're college groups, but there are no professional women communities where they're able to actually interact with other professional women of the same industry, talk about industry trends, talk about what's happening in the job market, talk about new career prospects, talk about mentorship, talk about coaching. So we said, let's start somewhere. And we started with the Women in Bank Tech community, which is the intersection of banking and technology, which is a very, very, unique sort of an emerging area. We launched that this month. We launched that last month in February, 4th of February, actually. And we got a fabulous feedback. So we said, let us take our findings from the survey and actually take that to the entrepreneurship community as well. So within the next 3 to 4 months, we wish to launch the Women in Entrepreneurship community or Women in Entrepreneurship network on our platform, so that we get women entrepreneurs from all stages to come in and be a part of the platform, access our mentoring, sometimes be a mentor, and sometimes take mentorship. Look at all our resources. We will provide them resources in terms of finance linkages, marketing linkages, and a safe space to ask silly questions where nobody will judge them. And no, they will not feel that they're lonely anymore, because this community will connect with each other and elevate each other and ensure that they're going in the right path and not giving up. Most importantly, not giving up. We are very happy to see that the government is completely appreciative of this problem and of the poor gender statistics that are emanating out of India. And they have tried a lot, and they have put in a lot of policies in place. So a simple example would be something like the 6-month maternity policy. Now, has that really helped women? Has that really helped corporates? Those are questions that we still need to explore. But they're also doing a lot of work around women in entrepreneurship. So, under Niti Aayog, we see a lot of stuff happening. We have this whole Startup India initiative, and special discounts and concessions are given to women entrepreneurs across many schemes from the government. However, we find that there is a lack of that bridge between the entrepreneur who actually accesses the schemes and makes something out of it. So I think that's where the private sector also needs to play a role. People like us needs to play a role. How many ever Aspire for Hers we have, I think it will still be less, because the number of women out there who actually want to do something, and the kind of schemes that are there, building that bridge is something that we should all be looking towards.